For these 4 questions, it says that the table shows the cost of a large pizza with additional toppings on it. Write an equation in point-slope form that represents the relationship between the number of toppings and the cost of the pizza. So, first of all, let's talk about what is point-slope form. This is our formula. And I know that when I plug into point-slope form, I only need y1, m, and x1. And so we currently have these 2 parts here. So if we look at our table of values, x is always this column, the first one, and y is always the second column. So the very first number that we have is x1, and the very first number in this column is y1. So we know this part here, y minus y1 is 10.25. We don't have m, and we know x minus x1 is 2. So now how do we find m? So what you do is you look for the first 2 numbers that are consecutive. So like 2 and 3 are consecutive. 3 and 5 are not, meaning that 3 and 5 skip 4. So 2 and 3 are consecutive. They are right next to each other. So then I go over here and look at these 2, and that means I subtract them. So I say 11.75 minus 10.25. And if I subtract them, I get m. Okay? So slope is 150. So for 1.50 for m, plug it in, and that's it. And that 150 just means that every topping of pizza is $1.50. Okay, so for part B, same thing. I know my x1 and my y1. So this is x1. This is y1. I'm going to plug y1 into the first part here. I need to find m, and I know that x1 is that 1 right there. Okay, so how do I find slope? Find my consecutive numbers, so 1 and 2. Okay, so that means I go over to this part and I subtract them. So 9.50 and 8.25. If I subtract, we get $1.25 for each topping, and that represents your slope, and I plug that in right here. Okay, for letter C, we have our x1 and our y1. So we could say y minus y1, which is 7.50, equals slope, we don't know yet, and then x minus our x, which is y1. Sorry. So here, to find m, we have to find our consecutive numbers, so 1 and 2, and that means I subtract these 2. So 8.25 minus 7.50. So I get 0.75, and that's my m, and I plug it in right here. Okay. And the last one, again, this is x, so this is x1. This column is y, so the first one is y1. So now I know that y minus my y1 is that $9. I don't know m yet, but my x would be x minus that first x, which is 2. Okay, so now that I got to find m, I look to see 2 and 3 are consecutive, which means I'm subtracting 10.50 and 9. So 10.50 minus 9 is $1.50. So I plug $1.50 in for m.